Alrighty. Thanks for being here this morning. My name is Dave Peeler. I'm the board president for the Scott Lake Maintenance Company. Asking that everyone actually sign in on the sign-in sheets on this little round table in the back. I'm also asking that you take one of the cookies because my brother didn't think I was fat enough yet in the Christmas, and he gave me a huge tin of cookies, which I'll never be able to eat. Anyway, yeah, please sign in and indicate whether you're a resident here and what your address is. Just want to, just very brief opening remarks. Over the last couple of years, we've had different kinds of concerns brought to the board here at Scott Lake about personal watercraft use and jet skis on the lake and interfering with other uses, etc. So we got some letters written to us, and some letters were written to the county as well. So we had a conversation with our county commissioner, Commissioner Bud Blake, is sitting to my left here, and decided that we needed to have a public meeting here to talk about these issues a little bit before we could do anything else could happen. So that's what we're doing today, kind of a first start at some sort of a process to understand the issues better and get some feedback. So Bud is here. He's willing, he's kind of observing today because this might become something that the county would have to take action on, like county ordinance or some other kind of a thing. He can't really comment one way or the other on his ideas on this yet, early in the process. But we did want to talk about some of the concerns that have been brought up and give you guys an opportunity to speak as well. So given the number of people here and the time we have today, I'd like it if, when people speak, if you'd stand up and introduce yourselves, and also limit your remarks to no more than 3 minutes so that everyone can get a chance to talk. And we'll try to keep it civil, and if people aren't civil, we'll probably say, time to move on. But because we've got lots of people here today and lots of people have ideas. If it turns out very few people want to speak, that's fine. And if you didn't want to speak at first and later on you decide, hey, I would like to put my 2 cents in, just raise your hand and let me know. We'll call on you. I'll try to think of anything else here. I think that about covers it. I have one email that was written to me after this notice came out in the newsletter that went out about this, but I'll wait on that because of lots of people. I'll read it into our record here later, but I wanted to make sure that everyone here that wanted to got a chance to speak up first. So, anyone here like to go first? Oh, but I'm sorry.
I'll be first.
I'll be first.
I just want to reintroduce myself as Bud Blake, Thurston County Commissioner, and I want to absolutely thank you for being here today on a Saturday of all days. It's important to Scott Lake, the residents, and the bigger community. And if you're here today, that means it's important to me. And I know this issue's been lingering for a while, and like Dave kind of said, I'm going to stay neutral on this. I'll take the questions and answers and what have you, but I'll go back and put this to at least some sort of progress of bringing it to closure at some point in time. I don't know what that day is, so that this community can go forward and give some assurance where this issue falls. And that's what I'm after in terms of making sure we have a healthy community and a vibrant community. So just speak your mind, 3 minutes, civil, collegiate, and that's what I'm looking for as far as your input, and then we'll see where we go for the next steps, okay? Thank you very much again, and I look forward to a good, decent conversation.
Thanks, Bud, and I'm sorry I forgot to speak. So we didn't ask you to sign up in order and didn't ask you on the sign-in sheet whether you wanted to speak, so I'm just going to ask you to raise your hand if you have something that you'd like to say, or if you have something you'd like to read. If you've already written some comments out, that'd be fine too. Anybody? Heather? Heather Highmiller?
I'm Heather Heimiller. I live on Shoreview Drive. I'm a 34-year resident at Scott Lake. A few years ago, I spent a long time reading our laws and bylaws. And what I found was the laws and bylaws, the covenants are very gray as to using and to what use that our lake is for. Personally, I like to fish and swim. So when I'm down in the lake area, quite frankly, I'm against jet skis in the racing mode that I've seen over the past few years because multiple people have come in that I know aren't residents, and as a result, fish don't like it, simply. And for that reason, I want to see regulations very similar to other lakes in the area, and I appreciate those that are here. especially the county commissioner, because ultimately the laws need to be cleared up.
Thank you, Heather. There was someone here. You, sir?
Yes, my name is Paul Costeca. I live on Scott Lack. I'm just asking for clarification right now. I've heard issues brought up at a previous meeting that there's people using the lake as racing. I've never witnessed it, but I don't use the lake extensively. I do occasionally use a watercraft on there. I'm just wondering, what's the issues, what's the problems, so I can go forward and understand better my feelings or actions should be taken.
Okay. Well, hopefully that'll get answered by other speakers here.
What about the letters that you've got written that made the meeting happen?
I don't have those with me today, unfortunately. I have only the one that came to me since the newsletter went out. I'd be happy to read that, and it might answer some of the question here. This letter came from one of our residents named Jennifer Gordon. She says, "I'm not sure if you're the right person, but if you are, would you find forward this? I'm unable to attend the meeting, but I would like to address my concerns on the use of personal watercraft on Scott Lake. The owners of the jet skis and wave runners are careless and unmindful of others that want to use the lake for its intended purpose. We own a water skiing boat, and there were numerous times last summer that we had to pull the boat out of the water because the jet skiers were coming so close to the boat and going too fast that we did not feel safe. I lived at the very beginning of the neighborhood, and all summer long I watched jet skis with racing numbers get towed in from outside the neighborhood to use our lake. They would set up buoys and race around the buoys and section off a whole section of the lake, or they would race across the lake at speeds that are way over the county speed limit. Another incident that I saw last summer was a jet skier that was creating wake for the kids playing near the shore. He was coming alarmingly close to the kids within 10 feet and being completely careless with his machine. I honestly do not feel that when my friends and family are trying to use the lake for its intended purpose because of the out-of-line use of these machines. I'm sorry, I honestly do not feel safe when my friends and family are trying to use the lake. Thank you for taking the time to address the issues and listening to my concerns." So that's kind of the general nature of the concerns that we've heard previously. And like I said, there were several letters written over the last year, but I don't have those with me today for this particular meeting. Others that would like to speak? Yes? Linda, could you speak up just a little bit more if you can? I know
My
you-
name is Linda Gibson. I live right on the lake, and my concern is erosion. I've asked them to stay 200 feet out, that's the law, but it ends up being 5 feet, 2 feet, 10 feet. And I've seen so many people that have to replace docks or replace styrofoam, and I've had to haul a 10-foot piece back to the launching dock because it came out. And I've asked them to slow down because the perch and the little bluegills were laying eggs at the time. They lay in the pea gravel, all their babies. And the last time they ran, there was a 10-foot swell of pea gravel. Every time they try to lay a nest, it ends up out. I've got pictures of dead frogs. I've got pictures of dead fish that get flopped out of the lake, can't make it back. Just fed up with it.
Thank you, Linda. Anybody else? Who's next? I know you're all here, so you must have thoughts on this. I'll get you next, sir.
My concerns about the personal watercraft from Scott Lake, because the lake is so small, they go way too close to the docks, swim area, and other vessels. By law, they're supposed to be 200 feet from the docks and swim area, and it will only be a matter of time until someone gets seriously hurt or killed. The noise they create is far above the legal limit for Thurston County and makes it miserable for people who are outside around the lake. According to multiple articles found on the internet, by design, two-stroke jet skis exhaust 20 to 25% of their fuel unburned into the water. When there's 10 of these things out there, they only have to run 2 hours, or they run 2 hours and burn 4 gallons an hour. They will dump at least 16 gallons of raw gas and oil into the lake in just those 2 hours. This is continue to be allowed, it'll eventually kill the lake. Scott Lake is just too small for personal watercraft. They need to go to a larger lake in the area.
Just in terms of the size.
Can you introduce yourself?
I'm sorry, Galen Wood. We've been here 13, 14 years. We're on the lake, on down, I was 14th way here. 2 points. One, back to what Hershey was just saying, if you look at the boating regulations that are online, all of the lakes that are grouped together in terms of having a specified speed limit are very, very large lakes, with the exception of Scott Lake. Probably deep in history, somebody knew somebody, but Scott Lake is certainly an exception to the rule. It's not anywhere near on the same par with Lake Sinclair or Long Lake or some of the others. Second point along that same line is that the Thurston County boating regulations that are online, to describe them as vague would be generous. And so it makes it very, very difficult to ascertain exactly what needs to be enforced or not enforced. It would be interesting to see an overview of the lake and superimposed on it that 200-foot limit from the shores and docks to see just how much of the lake is left in the middle, and it's not going to be very much, I don't think.
Thank you. Others? For those of you who came in late, in the back of the room, I'm hoping that you sign up on the sign-in sheet over here.
I'm going to speak now, but I'm also going to speak here at the end as well. And
And you are?
I'm Julie Holmquist. I'm one of the ones that creates the course out there, and I'm the main jet skier, and I live here, right here on 114th Way. And I bought the house about 2 years ago, but I've actually lived in Scott Lake since 2009 and been jet skiing on the lake since then. I've had no complaints at all until I moved next to Linda, who me and her are at a complete war right now, and she's really good friends with the Hirschhorns, who I've had problems with and had to have lawyers send letters to stop threatening me, harassing me, videotaping me, and things like that. Unfortunately, the Homeowners Association gave us all 1 day's notice for this meeting. Anyone who doesn't attend the meeting and wasn't there last week got it in their newsletter in one small sentence on the bottom. Spent 4 hours yesterday walking around to all the neighbors' houses and knocking on the doors yesterday, and it's unfortunate that a lot of people's voices won't be heard today. Those are people who are working people who can't attend their meetings and don't go to their special little groups and aren't friends with the Hirschhorns or any of the other board members. The board seems to stick up or, protect the rights of the people who are them for themselves, their friends, and everybody else that attends their meetings, but they're not really taking into account the community as a whole. We have a huge community here, and everyone that I spoke with absolutely does not want the ban of jet skis or boats, and that's what we're going towards right now. It's either a 5-mile-an-hour speed limit or the ban of jet skis and boats. You can't just ban jet skis. You can't do that. You can't single out a person, me. You can't single out a vessel and say that they're not allowed. It's everything. It's either you want a motorized vehicle lake or you don't. The second this lake turns to 5 miles an hour or less, your property values are going to go completely down to nothing. Nobody wants to live here in this place. Now hold up. I was quiet while you all spoke.
We all had our time
So
to
quiet
speak.
down.
Thank you.
I think first of all, I'd like to take a little vote of who is for keeping jet skis and boats on the lake versus who is not. So let's get that out in the open here. Okay, and we can see that there's a little bit of an age gap here between the people who are for motorized vehicles. I'm sorry, but it's true.
Who's against
If
it?
you- It's about even. It's about even, and you know what, as a matter of fact, some people aren't gonna hear. Okay,
Everybody quiet down.
so
Quiet
I'll just
down.
make some very quick points here as to safety. There's been absolutely no accidents. There's been no accidents, no injuries whatsoever. Okay, and as to the pollution of the lake, like Mr. Hirschhorn was talking about, outboard motors, your little fishing boats that you like to roll around in, are polluting the lake more than any jet ski pollutes the lake. You're burning more oil and you're mixing 60 to 1. Those are 2-stroke engines, okay, in your fishing boats and all your boats and all your motors. One thing about jet skis is they've been highly regulated by the EPA since the 90s, and they're 70% more efficient than they used to be. They're also a lot quieter than they used to be, the older models. And a lot of lakes have moved towards, or jet skis in a whole are being manufactured as 4-strokes without oil now. So a newer jet ski is a 4-stroke engine, and they're completely, safe for the water and quieter for the water. As to the noise, and people don't like seeing the jet skis, they don't like seeing the buoys. Well, you're not living at this lake by yourself. You're not out in the middle of nowhere. You're living in a community. And I don't like the noise of the kids screaming at the park. I don't like the noise of, but we have to be tolerant of each other. We have to be tolerant of each other. And so, another point that I'm going to make that my friend's going to help me with is that we race here at Vance Creek Ponds in Elma. And we've gone through stringent water tests and things like that to be allowed to come back at the lake, and they've found absolutely no issues with jet skis causing any damage to those ponds, which are actually non-motorized vehicle lake. And my friend Dan here actually he's 1/3 of the promoter of our racing there. He's also the county assessor for Grace Harbor County, and he knows how important it is to keep our property values, high, and it's kind of what draws people to this neighborhood. This is a very special neighborhood. So you don't get a neighborhood like this. You don't get quarter-acre baseball field, tennis park, and all of this. And I'm here to protect what is our right to use the lake, our recreational right to use the lake. So
Thank you, Julie. Is that it? Can you wrap?
that's it for now.
Okay. Could you state your name?
I surely will. Tyler Jared Rosso. And in regards to Linda, I actually spotted that dock. A storm caused that dock to break loose.
Yep.
We witnessed it together.
And boats have bigger waves.
Julie, if you let me talk, please. And her husband, I believe he is. We corralled it on the canoe, which was a pretty exciting adventure. See, she knows. We lassoed it and brought it in, but it was actually a storm that brought that in.
Mm-hmm.
In regards to the animals dying, Linda, I think you have a sign on your garage that says cat number 79 trapped.
In the freezer.
And I'm not sure where they're at, but I think they are in the freezer. These are facts. I'm not trying to be.
That's a shipping box that says catalog number.
I can't see who's talking.
It says cat in the freezer.
Can you address your remarks to the jet skis and personal watercraft?
Oh, this is indeed because that was a fact that she was saying that the jet skis had done. So I
Damage to her,
addressing the proper
to the dock.
Anything else?
Anything for a moment? I got 3 minutes.
Yeah.
2 minutes already up. Okay. I think I'm pretty good with that. I just wanted to stick to the facts,
Okay.
which are definitely jet ski related because she said they were.
You're not a resident here.
I
He
am.
is.
I
He
am.
lives with
Thank
me.
you for asking. Nice try. Nice try. Anyone else? I can do this. I'm good.
No, we're not in a Q&A here, so.
Okay, thank you.
Please make your remarks, and if you're finished, that'd be.
And then I do believe he had a decent point. If we were to measure out the 200 feet, it'd be interesting to see where that would land. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I agree with marking the lake 200
Just
feet from
at least
shore,
see where
because
it
you don't
stands.
know
I
what
think
200
that's a
feet
good
is.
point. I think that's good.
So,
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Yep, please.
Okay.
Wait, one at a time. Lisa, I didn't catch your last name. Could you start over again?
And I just want to say that I.
Can you say your last name?
Hi, Tuttle, Lisa Tuttle. I just gotta say that the first time I ever went over to Linda and Corey's, I said hello to that woman that was taking her fence down next door, and I said hello, and every other word out of her mouth was F this, up, F that. Wait a second. I know we're discussing jet skis.
we're discussing jet skis, so if you have a personal problem, sit down. Oh, sit down.
The dog is chasing me when the dog was 10 feet from her.
It's not about Julie.
Yeah.
Okay, well, she lied.
But that is about Julie. Let's get it real. Let's get it real. It is.
Thank you, Lisa. Sir?
That just proves it right there.
I think this is almost getting personal. and
It is.
ridiculous,
It's against me.
Which, to me, is irrelevant. This is a public lake with private access. There are some of us that do enjoy using jet skis, but I don't believe it should be an organized club interfering with the majority of the people. If you guys say you want to race there, and there is a majority of people that are saying, hey, that interferes, you said we should be cooperative group, find another lake. Should we ban jet skis? No. How about being neighborly and try to be cooperative and get along with everyone?
Amen.
Amen to that.
What's wrong with saying, hey neighbor, you're interfering with my fishing, could you limit your hours between 10 and 6? Watch out for other boats. Organizing clubs where there's more than 10 jet skis on it, I think that's excessive use, and you're taking proprietorship of the lake. Because, yes, I've used it, I've been out there, maybe I've been unaware and have violated some things, but if someone said, hey, slow down, I do try to watch out for boats, I take a jet ski twice a year out there. But I think when I'm hearing it here, I'm hearing a lot of vindictiveness on both sides. Upsets me because this feud's gonna change something that I like to do here, pro or con. So I think if we should all stay more civil, more cooperative, and we might accomplish something. But if you get into where someone does this, someone does that, everyone's gonna be ticked off, hurt feelings, bad things will happen. So I think we should all readjust and attack it from that night, both sides.
You can't even do that, right, huh?
Sir, my name's Phil Stevens, I live right down the road, been here for about 12 years. I don't wanna see what we can do down at the lake limited because two people are at war with each other. I think that's BS, honestly. The thing about getting free use of something, or just being free in general, is you have to tolerate people. You have to tolerate what they do, and hopefully they're gonna turn around and tolerate what you do. I think we just need to be adults here. I don't think outright banning is the answer. I don't have a jet ski, I don't have a dog in the fight. I really don't care, but I do care that it's gonna be jet skis today, and then what's someone's pet peeve or personal battle next time?
Boats with
That's
energy.
bullshit. It's garbage.
Yes.
Hi, my name is Betty Weiss. I live on the lake and I've lived there for 14 years. The occasional use of a jet ski in the past hasn't really been a problem. It's only been a problem the last 2 years when the use is multiplied by 4 to 10 jet skis, and they're out there from, I make marks of when they come. So they're out there from like 11 in the morning until 7 or 8 p.m. They generally run everybody off the lake. There's people swimming, kids swimming, people out on little boats. When the jet skis are out, everybody else vacates the lake. They vacate the park. I used to have little gatherings at my house where we maybe played croquet or played cards in the backyard. I haven't had anybody over to my house in the summer for 2 years, and it is because of the noise. It does have a great impact on the whole rest of the community that wants to use the lake for their purpose, whether it's swimming, boating, fishing. From watching, it seems to me like other people are actually run off the lake, and I've watched it, and I love the lake, and I love the wildlife here, and I've also seen a decline in wildlife. I don't see as many fish. The eagle doesn't visit as much. The food is going away. The fact that this is 65 acres and 12 feet deep, it means that these can make a very big impact on the lake quickly, and that's what I see happening, and I'm extremely distressed about it. I think that the Jet Ski Club is reckless. It takes somebody timed it from the Jet Ski Club house to the dock takes like 4.5 seconds at high speed, and they're always at high speed. They're not benefiting anybody else here on the lake except themselves having fun, and one household does not lay claim to the lake and should not usurp everybody else's right to use the lake.
No, I'm going again, Jim.
No, you're not.
Anybody
You're
else
not
would
supposed to
like-
say anything, so.
Who
you
hasn't
don't
already
get the best
spoken?
one.
You haven't spoken.
I'm Damon Kilmer, I'll start on the water.
Say your first name, sir.
You can't handle it.
Kilmer, on the house right on the water on 114th Way. I've had no problem with the jet skis, I've been out here 2 years, I fished off my dock, caught plenty of fish. The only damage done to my dock was to the storm, so to say the jet skis are doing all that, I wouldn't go that far.
There was somebody else in? Yes, you, sir.
Lawrence Jacobson. I didn't even know what the issue was, that's why I came today. And anyway, I used to write environmental documents. Now, I hear many things, you know, and I offer my services. And what is the real story? Are they doing things to fish? If I'm swimming a jet ski, it doesn't bother me any more than a motorboat.
Right.
I mean, so I've learned today that there's, you know, it's like I didn't know that they didn't like each other. But I don't have an answer. I just thought I'd offer my services as an independent, neutral person, figure out what it is, and maybe you can have certain hours. I mean, you have a kids fishing derby, maybe a race day or something, or a race day once a month, or. Well, anyway, I'm just saying I'm just neutral. I didn't even know there was an issue today.
Thank you.
There was another hand. I'll get you next, sir.
I just would like to piggyback off his comments. I'm Jake Bierman. We live off Champion Drive on.
I couldn't hear your name.
Jacob Bierman. We built our house 15 years ago on Champion. We moved here because of the lake, because it was a motorized lake. We raised our kids here, doing a couple of large daycare centers in Tumwater. It's a great family lake. Like what he said, I was thinking it'd be great. I don't know you, I've never been part of their club. We own a couple jet skis, we come down, we sit at the dock, it doesn't chase people off. I mean, that shore gets packed with people in the summertime. I would really like to see like something organized, maybe put it in the newsletter, maybe we have a community barbecue down there. It'd be great to meet each other and watch the racers. They're pretty neat to watch. Yes, we have to stop running when they're out there running because they do take quite a bit of the lake. But it's pretty cool. I mean, it's fun to watch, and if we knew about it and we organized some sort of community get-together around it, it'd be a fun thing to do.
Thank you very much.
My name's Dan Lindgren. I'm actually the biggest jet ski event promoter in Washington, Oregon, and Idaho. I don't organize. What's that?
Do you live on Scott Lake?
I don't live on Scott Lake, but I spend a lot of time on Scott Lake.
He rides
Julie's a friend of
every
mine.
time.
I race, she races. I'm aware of, you know, I've been here many times when we've come and gathered, you know, 5 or 6 of us and raced around the booths around the lake. So I'm aware of what goes on and what you guys are all talking about. I'm also the Grace Harbor County Assessor, so I understand property values and the effects that you can have on property values when you change the use of the lake. First of all, I just want to address because I've been a promoter for 10 years, we've come across issues like this when we want to go and put on a race. I mean, I do everything by the book. I make sure that the environment is kept safe when it comes to fuel, when it comes to fish in the water, when it comes to the shorelines. I have to deal with all of this when it comes to putting on a race at any lake, because obviously there's going to be concerns, whether it's a lake that there's houses on or not. So in a case like this, and this is what I've learned over the past 10 years, in a lake like this where you have no aeration, if you take motorized boats or the things that are aerating your lake and putting oxygen into the lake, whatever your concerns about fish are going to get worse, more than likely. Unless you put in some sort of aerating fountain or multiple. You've got a 65-acre lake, so you would probably have to put on, you know, in order to keep the lake as clean and nice as it is right now, you'd probably have to put up to about 5 aeration fountains. You probably understand this.
I know something.
Yeah, you need to oxygenate the water to keep the algae out and to keep the fish happy. They like the oxygen in the water. When you churn water up and you put bubbles and you put air into the water, that's what keeps the algae out of the water. Take a fish tank, take your aerator out of it, and let it sit for 2 or 3 days, and it will turn green, because algae likes stagnant, still water. So I'm not saying that the jet skis are like the best thing in the world for the lake. I'm saying that they're not hurting the lake to the extent that you guys think that they are, because if you take them out, you're gonna, you know, cause another problem that you guys don't have now, which is algae. And algae is an issue for fish and for swimming and for everything else. So you can treat it, but that doesn't put air in it. You have to oxygenate the water to keep it clear and clean. That gets rid of weeds, but so does oxygen. Do your research, look it up online.
Can I ask you a quick question,
Yeah.
kind of related to something you said
Sure.
a moment ago, and that was when you organize these and promote these events in other locations, do those require permits or any sort of regulation by the local authorities?
Yeah, So I'll use the Elma example that Julie brought up. We started putting races on at the Elma ponds. Most of you probably have driven by Elma and you see the ponds to the side of the Vance Creek Park. That's a 10-acre lake that we do races on. There's probably 100 jet skis on that lake for 2 days straight. That lake is planted with fish. We've gone through a process. Of course, there's concerned citizens that use the park saying, hey, why are you guys, it's a 5-mile-an-hour lake, there's no motorized vehicles allowed on it. So we go through the process and the research to determine, can we do it on this lake safely? Is it gonna hurt the fish? Is it gonna hurt the surrounding land? And so that's what I did the last 2 years. That's why I know quite a bit about the issues that you guys are talking about. And literally, they plant fish the week before we race. So they plant all the fish the week before we race. We race, and they do a fishing derby the next week. Not one dead fish. No issues as far as the fish are concerned. And if anything, it's helped the lake because it doesn't get any oxygen in the water. And it's one of the most important things for clear and clean water is to oxygenate it. So, and we do 3 races a year.
I don't know.
And that's, what you guys are seeing here is not a race. It's not an organized race.
It's like 4 people.
It is 5% of what a real race is. That's just people practicing and riding jet skis recreationally. So.
Thank you, Dan. Thanks. Other comments? Anybody else that hasn't already spoken, please, first?
My name is Barry Dunn. I live on 2433 114th Way, just down here a little way. My main concern is safety. I've got a lot of grandkids that come out to the lake and spend time at the lake, and they always have. We lived here for 10 years, and it's getting to the point now where I have to have the kids stay out of the water most of the time. During the weekends, when they're having the jet ski practices or races or whatever they want to call it.
Because your kids are swimming in the middle of the lake?
No.
Okay, because there's a swim area.
Julie, you should not do that.
A designated swim
Let him
area.
speak, please. Let him speak.
There's a designated swim
Julie,
area.
hey, don't interrupt.
If you want to swim.
I have.
Go
I
swim.
understand a certain distance out in the lake from my property. The kids are on floats generally, and they used to float over to the park, but they can't do that anymore because I won't let them go out in the lake. It's just too scary for them. I've had styrofoam washed out from underneath my dock. I went over one day to talk to them, to ask them to slow down, and they gave me the finger. And so I just turned around and walked away. I don't know what to do. I really don't. So this coming year, my plan is to rope off 200 feet out.
Here you go.
And
I'm in agreement with that.
I don't want to argue with a whole bunch of people.
I think
want
that's a good
safety
idea.
For my grandkids and myself. I don't want to argue with a bunch of people. I don't want to go to war with anybody. We just want to have a nice time at the lake like we've had for years. It wasn't too bad when they were all over to the other side, but now they're all over the lake. And some of those watercraft, I don't know, they must be going 50 miles an hour in front of my dock, blowing the stuff out under my dock. So I just want some resolution to it. One thing I'd like to know, is there any rules or regulations for Scott Lake? I've heard people say that some people think this is a private lake, some people think it's a county lake. What rules govern this lake? I don't know. I've got a boat and I never even put it in last year because it gets knocked against the dock all day long. Anyway.
Thank you, Jerry. Was there another personal?
Yeah, I got a question for Julie.
Okay.
One, just a word of advice. Don't get snarky with anyone talking, it just really.
I can say what I want.
I'm just
That's the whole
advising,
point.
I'm a
You're
neutral
able to
party.
say what you want.
Ma'am, I'm a neutral party here, and you're
You're
really
not,
ticking me
though.
off because I want jet skis to say too, but I don't want it to be out of hand. So I'm just saying something.
Yeah, but you
Second of all,
can't blame
I
jet
wanna
skis
ask
for
just
taking
for
styrofoam
definition.
off your dock. You have to prove it.
Can we
You
move
know,
our remarks to the?
prove that.
No, I just wanted to ask a
But you're not
question that I'm not
keeping-
getting here, and she seems to have the information. How many jet skis at a time are we talking about? We're talking 2, 3, 4, 12?
All I know is
mean,
you
that
can't
makes a
limit
big
my
difference.
guests at my house. You can't tell me how many guests I can have at my house or how many guests I can have on the water.
Okay.
So.
Please,
We're trying to
You
keep it
can't do
civil.
that.
We're trying to keep it on the
I'm
issue.
just asking a question, what are we talking about? Economy of scale,
I
or
hear you.
scale, I
So
don't
you
know.
heard just a minute ago, from 4 to 10, this is some of the numbers that people talked about here. I don't know if that's correct or not, I haven't kept count. Did you have a comment?
I do have a comment. My name's Nancy Ogden. I live on Champion Drive. I've been in Scott Lake about 13 years. And we have encountered Julie on numerous occasions at the dock, and I think what really bothers me about this meeting right now, it seems to be a vendetta between the neighbors, but it really isn't. This is a lake issue, and I have to agree with some of the comments that I have nothing against jet skis. We also own a small boat, and I am willing with my boat to reduce my speed limit for the good of the lake. I don't think having a group that holds the lake basically hostage for every weekend so that they can improve our community and aerate our water is going to be a solution for the rest of the community. I do disagree with that. And I also don't appreciate the fact that when we have questioned individuals that leave the ramp open so that they can keep loading their jet skis because they're guests, get confronted with foul language, aggressive behavior that has brought the county sheriff out here, and included people that were picnicking here who saw the disruption of the loading ramp and wanted to see what was going on. So I would just like to see a little more civility, but I also agree that it shouldn't be holding our lake hostage every weekend. That maybe in a way to work with the jet skiers, we could do alternate weekends or one weekend a month that they could have. They say it's not a race, but basically it is. There's like 6 to 8 at least jet skis out there, and they're all over the lake. They're not just in one section. Those that aren't racing are out over here. Those that have boats can't fish in that area because the buoys are out, and the kids can't really get out there because the waves and stuff aren't safe for the little ones. So I'd just like to see a little more cooperation. Thank you.
Yeah.
My name's Kathy Hirschhorn, and this meeting was originally put together upon request of Thurston County so that opinions could be gathered. It never was intended to be one neighbor against another neighbor and all of this extraneous stuff that's going on.
That's not true.
This meeting was considered important to discuss safety and the environmental concerns on Scott Lake. And I think that this back and forth between neighbors is ridiculous. We need to stay on point and give Commissioner Blake an opportunity to bring good opinions back to the county for further discussion. It has nothing to do with Julie, although she's decided to make it about her.
I think you guys decided to make it about me when my lawyer had to slap you with a harassment lawsuit.
It is not about anything other than safety and environmental concerns. And many of us have seen the safety issues. Many of us have seen the oil sheen on the water after 10 or 12 jet skis have spent the day or the weekend out on the water. I think these are way more important issues than wondering what neighbor likes which neighbor and who's with whom. Let's discuss the facts and give Bud Blake an opportunity to bring back the information he needs to make a good decision for the other county people. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy.
I have a letter written that was left on my car door. I went around yesterday and left letters for neighbors, and it
Do you
just
have a
says,
name on that letter?
it has an address. Dear neighbors, we are the current residents at 2449 114th Way. We are not bothered by our next door neighbors' recreational use of the lake or anybody's use of the lake. Until there is proof that things such as jet skis damage the lake, we are against banning the use of them. Residents at 2449 114th Way. Also back in 2015, they say this isn't an issue about me, but let me read a letter
Julie, were you
that
gonna
my
hand
lawyer
me
had
that?
to.
Were you gonna hand me that letter that you just read? Thank you.
Let me read a letter that my lawyer had to write because of the constant harassment that I've received. And I've been able to compromise and talk with neighbors
Julie, this is
yesterday
about
that
the
maybe
rate.
were adversarial yesterday. And actually, specifically this gentleman right here, he has noise complaints, issues, and they try to ride their sailboat and things like that. And I pass off my business card and tell them, hey, if you ever have a problem with any of my guests, or, you know, you have a headache or something like that, just call me personally. I have no problem dealing with the issues, you know, if my guests are causing one. But I just want everyone to know that, yes, this is a somewhat of a personal issue they have against me, whether they want to make it seem like it's not, because if they make it seem like it is, that diminishes their argument. This is a letter my lawyer had to write. As you know, Ms. Holmquist occasionally places buoys on Scott Lake from a temporary course for jet skiing. Once she is done using the course for the day, the buoys are removed. It is my understanding that Scott Lake Maintenance Company does not own the lake and has no basis to prevent the use of jet skis on the lake. The Hirschkorns oppose the use of jet skis. They have demonstrated their opinion in highly inappropriate and harmful ways. One incident occurred during the 4th of July weekend 2015. The boat ramp was used for many people, including community residents and others. Ms. Holmquist and some friends sought to launch jet skis. To prevent this, Mr. Hirschkorn blocked the boat ramp with his truck, took his own lock, and locked the gate. The ramp could not be used for hours by anybody. Mr. Hirschkorn demanded Ms. Holmquist and her guests produce passes. However, he did not ask anyone else in the park to produce any passes, even though there were other users that were not Scott Lake residents and did not appear to be accompanying a Scott Lake resident. Without basis to do so, Mr. Hirschkorn accused Ms. Holmquist of stealing his keys, made a report to law enforcement which falsely stated that she had done so. Law enforcement responded to Ms. Holmquist's home. At the time, she had family and friends as guests. The false allegation caused Ms. Holmquist substantial embarrassment. The Hirschkorns repeatedly drive by my house, drive by her house. Ms. Hirschkorn rides by on her bike. The Hirschkorns have videotaped Ms. Holmquist, taken her picture. The Hirschkorns' actions constitute stalking and harassment. Because Mr. Hirschkorn was the president, at this time is the president of the Board of Trustees, Mr. Hirschkorn is a member of the board, and Hirschkorns purport to act on behalf of the company. The Hirschkorns' agents are the company, and their acts are acts of the company. And the Hirschkorns are subject to company potential liability for stalking and harassment and interference with Ms. Holmquist's right to use the company facilities, including the boat ramp. At this juncture, Ms. Holmquist prefers to resolve the matter without litigation, but please see the Hirschkorns immediately cease the above conduct and don't engage with Ms. Holmquist any further. So this started about 2 years ago, like I said, even though I've lived in the neighborhood since 2009. And it started really, you know, about that time when, you know, and it hasn't stopped. You know, there's no disputing the fact that I'm out there jet skiing. To videotape me constantly and take my picture and stand on the dock, I have more, you talk about me being rude to like the fishermen. How do you think, what do you think I'm getting in, you know, I'm getting it first and I'm just sticking up for myself. So that's what's really happening. I have people that are constantly screaming and yelling at me, you know, all day long. So nobody else is talking to me.
Well, we'll see.
So you can have a copy of that.
Okay, thank you, Julie.
Because there is a bias here.
Is there anybody that'd like to speak who hasn't spoken already?
Can you hang on, Heather?
Did you record me or not?
Jerry?
Well, my name is Jerry Strong. I live on Lake Court, previously on 113th Way. I've been here for 43 years. During that 43-year period, I've seen this community grow to a fantastic community for family and friends. I've raised my kids here. They've raised their kids here. And believe me, in order to make it work right, you have to have rules and regulations. The rules and regulations that are set forth for the whole entire community is, for instance, you can't have this and you can't have that, which is fine. If I wanted to come in and I wanted to put up a horse barn over here on the ball field because nobody is using it, would it be okay with me because no one's using that? I should be able to use this whole ball field for arena for my horses and invite my friends and my family from all over. No, we can't do that, folks. We have rules and regulations.
Would it be a temporary structure that you just take right back down, or would it be something?
No, because there's rules and regulations that were set out by your forefathers of this community.
We're just acting like the people on the jet ski are out there 24/7.
And we're not.
I'd like to see how often the
Can you
buoys
guys,
are actually out
let
there.
Jerry speak?
No, my bad.
Let's somehow have a Q&A with the people speaking.
The rules and regulations were pretty simple. The park is for the community. The lake is for the community. The only access for the lake from the community is down at the boat launch. If somebody has their house, which I think 50% of the people have a house down here that live on the lake, they can put people on the lake, but it should not be against the rules of the community. For number one, jet skis are available. They are not there. You can have a jet ski on Scott Lake. But it also says you have to go 5 miles an hour unless you're pulling a skier. That's the rules of the lake. What is that for? Number one, that's to protect those people that want to use the lake. That's why we don't have the speed that ruins the lake and the environment and all of the backwash that fast boats do. Anyway, try to abide by the rules of the community and you'll get along a lot better.
Jerry? Heather, you had a clarification?
Clarification. Did you use your jet skis and was asked by the community of Black Lake to leave the Black Lake area?
I don't ride Black Lake very often. Why would I? I live on the lake.
Anybody else that hasn't already spoken would like to speak up? Yes, sir, in the back. I'll get you next.
My name is Ron Bates. I live on Skylight Drive across from the park. Like Jerry here, I'm a long time, since '84, resident here at Scout Lake. And I've been through the times when we forced jet skis, when we had a lot of boats that would be pulling skiers around. Sometimes we'd have 4 or 5 boats at a time, operating in a fairly orderly pattern, all going the same direction and looking out for each other pretty well, self-policed. Of course, we've evolved now into where we don't see any jet ski or water skiers anymore. But I've observed the jet skis on the water. Sometimes it's kind of thrilling. It's kind of fun to watch. Sometimes I say, "Holy cats, this does not look very safe to me." But my main point I'm talking about here, I have relatives who live on a lake in King County. Sawyer Lake is the name of it. Some of you are familiar with it. Lake probably 10 times bigger than what Scott Lake is. Long-time, old-time community. But how they solved their problem was this, and it took a ton of coordination and cooperation between all the residents, frankly, of that particular lake and all the people who had interest there, because they had the same issues. I'm not saying jet skis were issues, but I'm saying that they had the same issues of conflicting, safety, environmental, what have you. What they ultimately did way back in some time period in the past, and I've observed this when I paid the visits there, they set up time limits on the lake. I don't know if they were specified by day or weekend or whatever. But the fishermen had the lake until, say, about 10 o'clock, from dawn till 10. Boats were then allowed on the lake of all types until about 2 or 3 in the afternoon. And then the fishermen would have the lake exclusively after that. Now, that particular lake is not a major fish plant lake type thing. It's all pretty much privately owned, but there's still a lot of people who use that lake for fishing. And they're fairly big boats there too as well. But the point I'm making here, it was a community effort. They came together and agreed and self-policed. They don't call in the sheriff every time something goes wrong. There's a channel set up to, hey, we got these issues. Everybody has to know what hours that you're allowed out, and if there's any day restrictions, what those are, and what have you. I guess the point here, I'm echoing a couple of things that's been echoed or talked about a little bit earlier, some gentlemen here. But it took a coordinated community effort. People all want to go the same thing, but they have to work and share a relatively small piece of water so that everybody can get their use of the lake that they're entitled to by being a resident here. But it took a cooperation thing to pull that off. And I think that's what we need here. And I realize there's a lot of different opinions and so forth. We all have those. But it took people to get together, wanting to work both sides, giving, compromising, and ultimately it worked for them. And it's worked for a long time. So it's doable, but you have to have that spirit there or you don't have right back to fighting, continually going on, and that doesn't solve anybody's problem. Thank you.
Yes, you, sir.
Okay, my name's Jim McAllister, I live at 2440 113th Way Southwest. I might very well be the longest resident of Scott Lake in this room. Jerry could verify that because we built Julie's house in 1968, my mom and dad. I grew up on this lake. I've been water skiing that lake, boating that lake for over 50 years. And I've seen a lot of things come and go. And I've seen 4th of July weekends when there were 9 water skiing boats on that lake. There wasn't one jet ski because we didn't have jet skis in the early 80s. Okay? And I fished the lake my entire life. I know that lake better than anybody in this room. Okay? I'm a fly fisherman. And being a fly fisherman is understanding the entomology of a lake. Okay? Last year, this lake changed drastically, and it wasn't because of Julie's jet skis. And I'm not just sticking up for Julie because I know her, she now lives in the house that I grew up in. I'm sticking up for the fact that last year, this lake went through some drastic changes. The lake froze over 5 inches thick because my son was out walking on it. That cut off the oxygen content of the lake. Every year, Scott Lake community probably does more damage to the lake by poisoning the weeds in the lake. That deoxygenates the water, it changes the acidity in the water, and it takes, basically it's like closing down every grocery store in our town if we were to look at that. The fish need vegetation to feed off of. We've always had boats in this lake. We've always had wakes on this lake. A lot of the docks at the park are in complete disrepair because we haven't replaced those docks since
The 70s.
12 years, no longer than that, because Bob Wells built the docks and he's been dead for 12 years, I think. And, I mean, the ski dock is in horrible disrepair.
That hasn't changed since we've lived here, and that's 15 years.
Yeah.
The swim dock has, but I think that maybe 10 years.
Yeah, that's because the old one basically just fell apart.
Yeah. Pulled it off.
Yeah. I mean, the docks are in disrepair. If they fall apart because of jet skis, I don't think so. I think ski boats and bass boats throw a bigger wake, and I know they do.
Damn straight.
Because I fish a lot of lakes. I fish a lot. I'm the outings chairman for South Sound Fly Fishers here in Olympia, and I have been for 6 years. So I fish other lakes, other waters. And I have absolutely no problem going out fishing when Julie and them are out there running the boats, because I still catch fish. The fish don't get scared by boats. How many of you ever fished Westport out of a private boat and caught silvers in your prop wash? I've done it a bunch. I can go out there in 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, jet skis flying, water skiers flying, I'll catch fish. You guys, when you walk outside and you hear a helicopter, do you run for cover?
Yes.
Well, maybe you've been to Iraq or you...
Yeah, PSDD, baby.
But 9/10 of us, all of us, we don't really worry. We may, become aware of it. The fish live with that sound constantly, almost year-round. It's just like us hearing a jetliner go over or something like that. Until that boat or watercraft, I will say, gets close enough to that fish to where the fish recognizes it as a threat, he's not going to move. And I'll do it on this lake, I'll do it on Summit Lake, I'll do it on Sinclair, doesn't matter where you go. I can catch just as many fish at any given time of day. I mean, even when we have the kids derby, we have boats out there trolling around and stuff like that. Kids catch fish, it's not that big a deal. The wakes that come up upon the shore, they're not going to disrupt the fishing nest because for years and years and years, when I lived in Julie's house, I observed the sunfish nesting in the water right next to the beach. the wakes don't disturb the nests. And there's a lot of other issues that we have going on in the lake besides watercraft that should be addressed, but I don't think that's gonna happen either. Golf course dumps nitrates on their grass to make it grow. That leaches into the lake and also brings other stuff, high acidity rates, low oxygen rates in the lake. But that's another issue. I water skied the lake from the time I was a young kid, and I like the availability, even though I do not water ski the lake anymore, to at least go out there and take my grandkids home around on an inner tube or ski or whatever I should. You know, this is a feud going on between a group of people, and I don't feel that Scott Lake, the rest of the Scott Lake residents, should have to suffer because of that feud. And I am not totally aware of everything that's happened, but I just don't want to see us have a decreased quality of life.
Thank you, Jim. Appreciate it.
We're running out of time, so if there's anybody else that would like to get the 3 minutes in.
Yeah. I'm Scott Parsons. I live next to the tennis court on the lake. I've been water skiing, and my in-laws own that